Thank you very much. And colleagues, because of time, allow me to observe all protocol. I want to take this opportunity to recognize, and I think at the opening, Ambassador Ajiwali established the context in which this particular meeting is being held, or this webinar is being jointly organized. He clearly indicated that the UN and the African Union signed the joint UN-AU framework, which is meant for an enhanced partnership in peace and security as the basis for collaboration through regular consultation and joint mechanism. But beyond peace and security, there are many other sectorial interventions both the African Union and the United Nations has been working on. This framework has already gained traction and is promoting efficiency, coherence, and effectiveness in the coordination of peace, security intervention in Africa. But beyond that, it's also looking at other various sectors. My responsibility basically under the theme, the role of international and regional partnership in advancing the wheel of sustainable development in Africa, is to basically look at how to engage both the UN ECOSOC 2030 SDGs and at the same time the African Union Agenda 2063. Let me start by first and foremost establishing the fact that the African Union Agenda 2063 is Africa's blueprint and a master plan for transforming Africa into a global powerhouse of the future. It is the continent's 50-year strategic framework that aims to deliver on its goals for inclusive and sustainable development as a concrete manifestation of the Pan-African drive for unity, self-determination, and the African Renaissance. In addition to this reality, it is also important to recognize the central role of the African Union ECOSOC through the Executive Council decision which tasked ECOSOC through the 26th ordinary session to be a leading or a championing organ in it. So ECOSOC, like we always say, is a one-stop shop for anything pertaining to championing. And on the other side, these are universal and improve the lives and prospects of everyone everywhere. The 17 goals were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which actually set out a 15 years plan to achieve this goal. I want to look at the connection between the SDGs and Agenda 2063 and then narrow it down to what role we think both the UN ECOSOC and the African Union ECOSOC can play. The 17 SDGs fit neatly into the 20 goals of Agenda 2063. The SDGs are all encapsulated in the 20 goals of Agenda 2063, although the scope of the SDG is manifestly confined to social, economic, and environmental dimension. Agenda 2063, on the other hand, is broader in scope. It covers social, economic, and sustainability consideration in the broader context, looking at political, cultural, and other African priorities within the African context. Hence, by implementing Agenda 2063 by AU member states, will inevitably be meeting their global obligation under the SDGs. How do we engage the AU ECOSOC and the UN ECOSOC for the advancement of Agenda 2063 and the SDGs? One is this that we are starting to organize, which is the joint implementation of tailored programs. It is very important that as both institutions have specific mandates relating to continental and global priority, the need for institutions to seek to engage with the 3 and the SDG is aimed at facilitating the actualization. In this regard, the proposing institution, let's say working with the broader civil society organization, should assume the capacity of a joint implementation partner in specific regard to the proposed programs or activity. So in other words, programs and activities has to be tailor-made to the advancement of Agenda 2063 and the SDGs. Another important aspect is the domestication campaign. We know we are talking at the country level as to how Agenda 2063 can be aligned to country development plans, national development plans, and other priorities at country level. So Agenda 2063 and the SDG are concrete and implementable frameworks which with clear aspiration to be more specific and goals. And therefore, these development goals are not only intended for at the international level in terms of its implementation, but more so for domestication at national level. In this light, institutions may engage the African Union ECOSOC and or the UN ECOSOC to jointly implement programs aimed at strategically engaging relevant stakeholders at the national level, the subnational level, in order to drive the domestication and translation of Agenda 2063 and the SDGs into an appreciable national policy. These campaigns or programs may take the form of what you will call maybe a stakeholder dialogue forum or any other form of engagement. Another important aspect is popularization or sensitization meetings or campaigns at country level, given the leading roles of the African Union ECOSOC as the organ that is mandated to engage with the African citizen and bring the African Union closer to its people, and the UN ECOSOC, which have a mandate in driving SDG respectively. It is important that there is a continued demand, to take note of the fact that there is a continued demand for programs and initiatives targeted at sensitizing the citizenry on African Agenda 2063 and at the same time the SDG, with particular regard to the distinct role of each of these sectors in the society in actualizing the goal of this developmental agenda. We see what ECOSOC has been doing in terms of some of our popularization campaign, like the AFCTA, the Free Movement Protocol. These are all flagship projects of the African Union Agenda 2063. And the mandate given to ECOSOC in popularizing these initiatives and ensuring that the African citizens are aware and able to play a critical role in its implementation is very important. And lastly, because of time, participating in and contributing in already existing programs and platforms. So AU ECOSOC as well as the UN ECOSOC predetermine programs in their annual work plan that are specifically tailored to Agenda 2063 and the SDGs. Some of these programs are widely open to civil society organizations and other stakeholders across the continent, while some others depend on the thematic or territorial focus of the program. But it is very important that no matter what shape or form some of these activities take, it is important that both institutions give an opportunity to civil society organizations of the implementation of programs relating to both Agenda 2063 and SDG for purposes of actualization of these dreams and aspirations, and more importantly for the African citizens to be seen taking leadership in the implementation of issues pertaining to their development. So in brief, I just want to conclude by saying, Ambassador in his opening remarks also talk about the consultative status within the UN ECOSOC and also at the African Union ECOSOC. The African Union ECOSOC is just finalizing, and hopefully before the end of this year, we will have our own framework in which we will be able to then now start granting institutions both observer and consultative status in order for them to interface with the African Union, but in a broader perspective, for them to be able to make meaningful contribution into development agenda, both at the African level and at the global level. I thank you.
Thank you very much, dear William.